travelers here, guys. First we started in America, then we went to Spain, then we went to Poland, then we went to Italy, and now we're going to Ireland. Goodness gracious, we're just all over the place here. Goodness, we're just world travelers, guys. World travelers. I wish. Today we're going to talk about St. Brigid of Ireland, if you haven't guessed already. And I don't know if you've heard of her. I'm trying to do more obscure saints, but that also probably won't happen because I'll get excited and talk about saints that I love that are also really popular. But we're going to do St. Brigid. Now, I know a sister named after her. That's how I know her. At least I think she's named after her. Anyway. It's just more off the project that I did for school because this is how everything happens. School, it rules my life. That's why I haven't made a video in a month. I blame school and work. There's not a lot known about her life because she's from the 400s and 500s, so it's actually hopefully going to be really short. I don't know, my videos never end up short. So I'm going to stop talking and we're going to move into the PowerPoint, so you're not going to stare at the screen for 12 minutes. If anybody could tell me why she always has the picture, in picture she has a cross in the bowl of fire, it'd be great if you could tell me, because I don't know. So she was alive from around 451 to 525, so you can see why we don't have a whole lot about her life, although we have a decent bit for being so early. So her mother's name was Braca, and Braca was a Christian slave, and her father was a pagan chieftain. I can't pronounce that name. So when Brigid was born, she was a slave. But when her father, should say father, not Faith. Okay, so when her father discovered that Braca was pregnant, he sold her to a druid, one of the pagan priests dudes that were in Ireland. And so Brigid was born, etc., etc., and for some reason Braca could not give her breast milk, so Brigid had to be hand-fed, which seems really common now, but I don't think it was in the 400s. So the druid tried to feed her, but she would vomit any food that the druid tried to feed her because he was impure. He was a pagan, and instead a white cow with red ears sustained her. So that's why there's a picture of a cow. I also have one I drew one in my journal. So even as a baby and as a child, she had this purity about her. And when she grew up and was older, she always loved to feed and heal the poor, and she gave away the milk and butter from the dairy that her mother worked at, the druid's dairy, but it still prospered even though she gave so much stuff away. I think there's a story once she gave away all the butter. I don't know why you would just give away butter. You gotta have something to go with the butter. But she gave away all of it, and and miraculously it reappeared. Not reappeared, but there was still butter. So when she was 10 years old, she returned to her biological father, the chieftain of the name I can't pronounce. And she continued her charitable works, and her father, who was a pagan, like I said, got so sick and tired of her good deeds that he took her to the king of... and he wanted to sell her to the king, and the king happened to be Christian. And so her father took her to this Christian king, and in the moment, Brigid gave a beggar his jeweled sword. I think it's the king's jeweled sword. That's the problem with English pronouns. So in the moment where her father's trying to barter with the king, Brigid's giving this beggar the king's sword. And so because of that, the Christian king convinced her father to grant her freedom, and he said her merit before God is greater than ours, because he saw her beauty and her purity and her charity. So she went. We'll talk a little bit in a minute about her religious life, but so she was freed, and she became consecrated religious, and she founded a monastery in Kildare called the Church of the Oak with another She was with another dude, I believe. Hermit. And she loved God so much that she prayed that he would take away her beauty so no one would want to marry her. And God granted this prayer. I can only imagine what she looked like for those years. But once she made her final vows, her beauty returned, and she was really beautiful from what I heard. And so, anyway, there's this legend that St. Patrick, she was friends with St. Patrick, and he heard her final vows, and in this whole process, accidentally used a form for ordaining priests, which makes absolutely no sense, because the vows would definitely not be valid at all whatsoever, because ordaining a priest and taking final vows are two very different things. I've been to ordinations and final vows. They're not the same at all. I mean, they're similar, but not the same. But it's just, St. Patrick basically said, whatever, so be it. She's destined for great things. Hopefully they redid them in the valid form. But I think that's just a legend, and it's just kind of fun. And then the ceiling quote I could find by her. I don't even know if this is technically a quote by her, because I don't have a lot of resources except for Google, like everybody else. Well, clarification, I don't have any books about Irish saints. Anyway, so it's a good quote though. It sounds like she would say it. So I would like an abundance of peace. I would like a full vessel of charity. I would like rich treasures of mercy. I would like cheerfulness to preside over all. Just think about it. Wouldn't it be nice if the world was like that? Saint Brigid of Ireland, pray for us. 3 big virtues that I saw, and you can just choose one to work on. Don't try to overload yourself. But the 3 big virtues that I saw were purity, charity, and humility. Purity in the fact that, the whole druid and cow thing, I think that even from a baby that shows purity. I just think that's so funny. And then there's also, charity. She would just open-handedly give to the poor, and I know not everybody can afford to do that, and she was like special circumstances with the way that she was able to do that. But you even if it's just a little bit, you can give that, or you can serve. You can go to help at a homeless shelter or something, or you can just be kind to everybody else, the spiritually poor, because we have so much spiritual poor around in your workplace, in your school, wherever you are. You can just be charitable in your actions. I was listening to a talk about, this was before Lent, but I was listening to a talk about almsgiving, and it was by a sister, and they take about poverty. And so I was kind of wondering how she would approach it, because she can't give money because she doesn't have money. And that's really what she talked about. She said you can be charitable and give alms through your actions, and just those really little ways to be nice to people in the day-to-day. And then humility, the fact that she said, Lord, take my beauty away from me before I make final vows, just shows like she really wasn't cared with the exterior. And it's not as to say, oh my gosh, we shouldn't care what we look like at all, because we should look presentable. But it's just really humbling, the fact that she really was detached enough to let go of all the exteriors. Because I think Fulton Sheen said that beauty on the exterior doesn't penetrate inside, but beauty inside radiates out. That's paraphrasing, but he said something like that. So choose one of those virtues to work on, and ask St. Brigid to help you get holy and have fun doing it.